All right, let's jump into this first story. We got this from the Wall Street Journal. Twitter's ex-security head files whistleblower complaint on spam and privacy issues. Former executive Peter Zatko makes sweeping claims about the social network platform. The complaint, which was submitted to the Securities and Exchange Commission last month and became public Tuesday, was made by Peter Zatko, also known as Mudge, she's a hacker, who was fired earlier this year. Mr. Zatko's submission says that he uncovered extreme, egregious deficiencies by Twitter in every area of his mandate, including privacy, digital and physical security, platform integrity, and content moderation. I'm going to jump over to our good friend Elon Musk. As many of you know, he's suing Twitter because he says they didn't disclose information on bots. He's subpoenaed Jack Dorsey, the former CEO, and he tweeted this: "Give a little whistle," and it's a Jiminy Cricket. And then underneath it, he says, "So spam prevalence was shared with the board, but the board chose not to disclose that to the public." The Washington Post reported 4 people familiar with the company's process for spam detection, who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe sensitive internal matters, told the Post that the company keeps several internal tallies of spam and bots, known as prevalence, across the service beyond the number supplied to Wall Street. The Post also obtained an internal document which was redacted to hide the numbers, showing that spam prevalence was a number shared with the board. The document was supplied to the board at the meetings Echo attended, according to 2 of the people, but not to Wall Street. So does that include the shareholders? How's this going to work? The big revelation here is that this dude said he believes foreign intelligence service agents or individuals could be at Twitter, and they're not doing anything about it. That, to me, is probably the biggest red flag. And this is probably why, in my opinion, they freaked out when Elon Musk was planning to buy it. Then some weird algorithmic thing happened with the right gaining tons of followers, the left losing tons of followers. Then Elon Musk said, "I want the data on bots," and they didn't give it to him. Now we're learning they didn't give it to him, that they had a number that was shared with the board. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Maybe Elon Musk was given access to this, but because of the NDA, he wasn't allowed to talk about it. I don't know. Either way, it sounds like this is going to help him win, which is kind of bad news because Elon winning means he doesn't buy Twitter. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this foreign intelligence thing? I think that's the big takeaway, huh?
Man, I'm one of the biggest Elon Musk fans, and I don't really care if that gets me in trouble these days. You're talking about a modern-day Iron Man. I was in Ukraine not that long ago. This guy's giving away some communication devices that totally changed and altered the way that country stayed independent. There's a guy who, it seems like, is putting his money where his passion is. He puts everything out there, and I was very excited to have maybe one platform I could put my money towards that actually cared about pushing out the truth, cared about putting every person's perspective out there and not moderating, not censoring, not blocking people's opinions. I've been on social for 10 plus years, started my company off Facebook and Instagram advertising. In November of this last year, right before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Facebook, in its infinite wisdom, decided that I needed to be banned. My company needed to be banned. So I had...
Well, I mean, look at that hat, dude.
Absolutely.
That's a dangerous hat.
And actually, when we broke down the violations, right, they couldn't really get me on anything except for my brother posted 6 years ago about a partnership we had with Jeep. They said that was violating intellectual property of Jeep. I mean, Jeep didn't complain because I actually had paperwork and I was working with Jeep, so it was in violation. But they said that I was using it and I didn't take it down in time. So they banned my account for a year. I'm still actually blocked. You couldn't search for my account. You couldn't like my account. I couldn't share my account. And every single person that liked my account seemed to be shadow banned. It sucks when Don Jr. likes your page, and that's a detriment, right? Because if there's these bad blue check marks out there and everyone thinks, oh, it's a blue check mark, that's just a famous person. Well, look behind the back end. They're classifying and categorizing your blue check marks. If you're a celebrity that has positive messages in their opinion, you get exposure. If you're a celebrity or a politician that has a message that goes against their narrative, then you are banned. Not necessarily officially if they can't do it, but you'll be shadow banned, and everyone sees it, and it's known. But we have no transparency. There's no oversight, and these social media oligarchs, they've been acting as such. They're untouchable. They can do whatever, and it's despicable.
I think your company is a really good example of the censorship that's overlooked. These high-profile left and establishment journalists will be like, oh, when Joe Rogan got canceled, it made him bigger or whatever. And that's what they want people to think canceling is. Meanwhile, your business gets shut down and there's no big fanfare. There's no big headline. Most of the people I hear from who say they got banned are like small accounts.
Oh yeah, no, and we're talking about millions of followers, and we're talking about millions of dollars for a relatively small business, right? I started my garage, and now we have large accounts. I have Bass Pro, I have Cabela's, I have 5-6 retail stores that are very highly frequented in Charleston and Savannah and Delray, and people come from all over to our store to experience it, and that gives us a sense of you could try to shut me down, but I'm not going away. I'll find a new platform, and I was really excited about Twitter being that new platform because I don't even have an account. You were asking me earlier, what's my Twitter account? I don't think I have one because I'm kind of over social. If I could pull all of my marketing dollars, I would. Right now, they don't seem to care. If I'm spending well over $1 million a year with Facebook and they cancel my account rep because of a false narrative, just because you don't like my opinions. And of all of the groups that are like me, I'm probably the least noisy, the least in your face, but I do appreciate the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. And I got banned from writing the First Amendment on a t-shirt, and it was told to me that was against Facebook's policies. And First Amendment, the rights that shall not be infringed.
Can't have people learning about that.
But I pushed it out an email to our 1 million plus, active email accounts, and we will sell a ton of shirts, and I will get a way around it. It's just very sad that I can't promote First Amendment, Second Amendment, because you take those away, and there's no stopping a government.
I had an idea for a TV show we talked about once. I think it was like on the Members podcast, where it's this post-apocalyptic future, and there's like one city left. And no one understands how the world ended. But like the world ended and then like people came together and built a city and they're rebuilding. And it's like sometime around 2077 or, 2080 or whatever, just history just dead stops. And then humanity is just gone from the planet. Cities are in ruin and decay. And then the idea for this was, the people in the city eventually encounter strange beings. They think are aliens. They go to war. And then it turns out, oh, the aliens are actually people and the world didn't end. What happened was, as technology advanced, more and more information went into the metaverse. Then eventually people just went into the metaverse and they live their lives there now. And there's very little work that has to be done because they're not really moving their bodies. They don't need that much caloric energy. And so there's only certain scouts that go out to replenish the system. We talked about that. And I got that idea because, I was thinking of how social media works, how these like social networks are banning people. And then this past weekend, I was at an antique store and we were looking at all these books. This guy had a bunch of crazy. We had books from the Civil War. We got the photographic collection, photographic history of the Civil War, crazy, from 1911. So there's actual photos of like the 1860s. It's nuts. That's not going to exist in the future. The way it's going with social media and why it's so important that someone like Elon pushed back. I don't think he cares anymore. I think he's trying to get away from the whole thing. But the reason why social media censorship is so dangerous, if the world ended right now, the overwhelming majority of information would be gone. Like world ending. I mean, if let's say the power went out in every major city, you would not be able to access our website, timcast.com. I mean, the information exists on the hardware somewhere. Where's the data center? Who knows? How are you going to look up the IP address? I don't know. Computers shut down. So if, 100 years ago, there's a collapse. Society breaks down. You walk into a library. You find all the books still sitting there, hopefully not damaged. But these books could be all over the place. You could find the history and be like, wow, look at this. In the future, it's going to be very different. If there is a major collapse catastrophe like that overnight, no one is going to know where any of this information is. And if you don't have electricity or a means to decode the data off the hard drives, there could be a solar flare or a great war. And let's say it's 150 years and people are like looking at these mainframes going, the summation of human knowledge exists on these machines. It could teach us so much about the world and how to survive, but we can't get access to it because we lost that technology when the collapse happened. No books, no reading, nothing you can preserve. Maybe you'll get lucky and someone will figure it out. Anyway, I bring that up because like the way it's going with censorship, that idea I had for a show, it's like the reason there was a last city, because those are the people who weren't allowed in. These are the descendants of the people who were banned from the metaverse and had to go and build their own economy somewhere else. So what I see happening with censorship, you're going to have people who get banned and they will find a way to engage in commerce. My dystopian future vision of it is a city of people living, because their descendants are forced to work and live in this alternate space, and then everyone else lives in the virtual reality. But I kind of think that's one direction we're going in. Maybe it won't be that bad. The reality of these things is these predictions typically don't pan out because within 20 years, technology will have changed so much, my prediction will make no sense. But there you go.
Well, have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite. It actually kind of starts to prove that fact that you have smartphones and dumb people. And we're not making or doing a service to our young people or to the individuals who just like that easy button. We're making it easier and easier and easier for society. And we're telling them that when you fail, it's not your fault. When you fail you need to blame everything elsewhere. That idea of ownership, that idea of, wanting to go and read through an encyclopedia to find an answer. But if I can't find it on the first page of Google, that's what sometimes I'll talk to my younger employees, like, hey, sir, you told me to go and research something. So I went on Google and I searched and nothing came up. I'm like, wow. And then you came directly back to me. That's very sad. But it's exactly what you probably have seen a lot in the, say, younger generation. I grew up with no phone, then a flip phone, and now I have a phone. But I despise it. If I can get away from this thing and I can get back into reading books and engaging in conversation, because that's where real knowledge comes from. That's where it's debate. It's not reading what someone else posted on Google, right? That Wikipedia where anyone can alter it, and people come to me with these facts about masks, about vaccines. It's funny how when things become mainstream, everyone all of a sudden becomes a subject matter expert like that.
Because it's on the front page of Google, mind you.
100%. Yeah, everything got shut down for COVID, right? I became a non-essential company. So my company with 250 people was forced to shut down and die.
Clothing company?
Yeah.
Clothes are essential, right?
And I had Black Rifle Coffee, which is my favorite coffee. It's free coffee to all first responders. But, our coffee shops were shut down. Our retail stores were shut down. Our manufacturing plant was shut down.
What state?
Georgia.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and there was definitely some internal politics going on there that it caused that. But I'd say that if I didn't switch and to start distributing these cloth masks that I knew were not effective in any way, shape, or form. I'm an engineer. I like making and building things. We made our own N95 masks, ones that actually worked, that were made here in the United States. But there's no way we were getting any type of large contracts. They were going to 3M, they're going to Honeywell, so that they could take these billion-dollar contracts. By the way, they still haven't produced these masks. 500+ million masks that were given billion-dollar contracts. They didn't have to be produced for 18 months. I bid on them and said that I could do it with my partners at Gulfstream, my partners that were these NASA-based engineering firms that had proven that our science worked and that it was cheaper, better, faster, made in the U.S., but no one wanted to hear it. And that's where that science is overruled by political science. The math and the numbers and the engineering is no longer a discussion. So I could go on television and talk about things based on my knowledge of science and engineering and be challenged by some YouTube dummy who just Googled Fauci's last periodical of nonsense and said, you know what, you're wrong and you're against the science and you just want to promote all these negative things and therefore you are a bad human and you can't even engage in conversation.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.